Musonda 20, and today we are going to be talking about a very important ongoing case. So I'm going to avoid using specific terminologies, or rather referring to people by their names, but we are going to be talking about a named journalist who was found with, a named amount of money. I had a very forensic conversation with my lawyers, and I was advised not to go specific with the terminologies and the name. So this is one of the reasons why I'm going to change the name. Instead of using that name that you know, right, I'm going to be using Faithful Malonda. That's the name that I'm going to be using in order for me to talk about these things, because this is an ongoing case. So anyway, the reason why I am creating this live stream or episode is due to the fact that we need to learn about money, especially due to the fact that we are trying to get economically, emancipated, and a lot of young people really want to find akasaka kandalama. But you have to understand the things that you can do and the things that you cannot do, especially for those of you who are exposed to, a lot of different offices out there that have got that give you the opportunity to sort of get exposed to such activities. So today is basically going to be all about financial education. You're going to find this information very informative, and we are also going to be talking about the cases, or rather the offenses, that are associated with money laundering. Okay, so we're also going to look at what to avoid, what not to do, because it is very important, especially in Zambia, where we usually say uwomba muivala adia muivala. So in Zambia, when we have these terminologies, right, you have to understand the risk of having in possession money which cannot be explained. So this is one of the reasons why we definitely need to have financial education. So today is going to be a very jam-packed type of informative episode, and we're also going to talk about Hush Puppy. Hush Puppy is a Nigerian who was recently, not so long ago, arrested due to the fact that he was committing financial crimes, fraud. So this is all interconnected. So I really hope you are ready for this amazing episode. But before I go on, please do take the time to share this live stream to your timeline, and share it in the different respective groups that you belong to, because it is very important to have this financial education, and you might be saved in the future in case you might be implicated in such a scenario. So I hope you took the time to share. Now let's talk about Faithful Malonda and her case, and the things that you really need to know about money laundering. So in the last episode, we did talk about the business of money laundering and why money laundering is important for people who need to clean their money. So just to give you a refresher, right, the reasons why people do money laundering is concealing the ownership of money and the source of money, changing the money form, obscuring the financial trail, completing control over the process and the people to prevent scheming. So these are the reasons why people basically need to do money laundering. So a lot of you might be saying, hey, there was this time when Faithful Malonda was being interrogated for a very long period of time. So what type of questions was she being asked with regards to her money? Yes, in Zambia, there isn't any specific law that really says you cannot keep any amount of money, but you have to understand that you are liable to explaining how you are in possession of any amount of money. So but you have to be able to explain the source of that particular income. So before we jump into the nitty-gritty details, right, I also want you to know a few terminologies, okay, because these are going to be very important. I want you to know this particular phrase called, the Proceeds of Crime Act is called POCA, and there's also Cash Transaction Records, CTR, and Politically Exposed Persons, PEPs, Money Mule, identity fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement. So this particular, issue right over here of identity fraud and wire fraud, embezzlement is actually really, really prominent in Zambia. If you have noticed, people are using SIM cards, using mobile money and all that stuff to sort of, create this fraud as well. So it's very important to get educated about these different, money related type of crimes, because a lot of people do not even know, especially among students, because students and women have got a higher probability of being implicated in these type of, criminal activities, even if you do not know. Because when it comes to crime, right, ignorance is not an excuse. So on our quest to look for Akasaga Kandalama, we should know what to avoid, what not to do, especially to the people who are aggressive networkers. So basically, an aggressive networker is people who are very, very ambitious, like very ambitious, and you do whatever, right? You're most likely going to be able to likely fall into, being either a victim of money laundering schemes, or even when it comes to accepting bribes, and all that stuff. And then if you are not able to pinpoint how you got that money, even though you are innocent, you can be implicated in a slew of financial crimes. So this is one of the reasons why it is very important for us to know these type of financial crimes. And then the other phrase that we're going to look at is racketeer influenced and corrupt organizations, RICO. So this particular crime is usually it's from the United States of America. So to all the students out there who are studying abroad, and to Zambians in the diaspora, right, this is a term which you should be very familiar with, especially with this guy Hush Puppy. I'm sure a lot of you know who Hush Puppy is. So what really happened when Hush Puppy was caught up with all this wire fraud and all that stuff, right? He was taken to America, where he was given a RICO type of case. So anyway, now that you know these terminologies, right? Cash transaction records. This is a very important type of phrase that you need to know, because most likely when Faithful Malonda is being asked about right, you have to be able to safely give the cash transaction record. You have to be able to say, I'm having, or rather I'm in possession of this amount of money because I did ABC type of deals. So it's very important when you are setting up your business, even as an entrepreneur, right? You need to be able to show the records of how you are obtaining a whole lot of money. So getting to the different 5 offenses that are concerned with or rather related to money laundering, right? There are these 5 basic money laundering offenses. There's tax evasion, theft, fraud, bribery, and terrorist financing. So let's say, for example, right? And you can be able to sort of explain how you got that money. You can say, it's a big issue, I sold this and I sold that. You can still be implicated in a financial crime because you are evading tax. So when you are opening your businesses, right, you have to be liable to pay tax, because paying tax is mandatory. So whatever you do with your business and on your entrepreneurial journey, right, you have to account for paying tax. So just because now what MPA, right, and you are able to provide the cash transaction record, you are able to say, I got this money legitimately, I sold this, I did that and that, right? What they're going to ask you is, did you pay your tax? Were you evading tax? Because tax evasion is a crime as well. So, but the problem, So, when it comes to theft, right? This is a very important, interrogative part of the process, especially when it comes to money laundering, because there is a very important act, which is the Proceeds of Crime Act, which basically, talks about these things. So, I don't know whether you can see this. Let me just try to zoom in. The Proceeds of Crime Act, POCA, published in 2002, changed the way we understand money laundering offenses. Money laundering or conspiracy attempt to money launder is an offense under sections 327 of the POCA. To simply put it, POCA discusses and defines offenses in money laundering as the following. Okay, so just because you are found with money and you can't really sort of get to explain how you obtain this amount of money, right? If this particular amount of money is coming from a trail, or rather a financial trail, which is very questionable, right? You can be given these offenses such as concealing criminal property, disguising criminal property, converting criminal property, the transferring of criminal property, and basically all these things. Okay, so you have to understand what the Proceeds of Crime Act usually entails, and you should be able to avoid these types of problems, especially if you like taking bribes, if you like akasaka kandalama, and basically if you like doing utuma favors in order for you to like conduct certain businesses and all that stuff, right? If you are receiving any proceeds of crime, like any money related to criminal activities, you are also in danger. So this is one of the reasons why ngawasungire mpya abantu bambi, right? Without you knowing exactly where that money is coming from, you can be implicated in a whole lot of trouble. Okay, so please do take time to look at the Proceeds of Crime Act and all that stuff so that you can avoid these things as well. So when it comes to fraud, right? Fraud is a very important aspect of money laundering, because this usually happens, especially, I'm a Nigerians do a lot of fraud. Okay, and when it comes to fraud, right, there's different types of fraud. Just like I told you, there is identity fraud, whereby somebody pretends to be someone they are not. Like recently, I think a lot of prominent politicians in Zambia are victims of identity frauds, because there are people who are pretending to be such and such a politician, and they are saying send money to this particular bank account and all that stuff, or they go to the bank and try to withdraw money pretending to be somebody else. So identity fraud is definitely a huge crime, and especially nowadays with technology, right? People can easily get to steal your credit card and maybe your mobile money, your SIM card, and all that stuff. So be very careful of identity fraud, because most of the times, right, especially for students, because students, number one, students really want to make money very fast. So it's easy to recruit students to do identity fraud on your behalf. So if you know anybody who's doing identity fraud, or just doing these mobile money type of schemes, tell them that this is most likely going to put them in trouble, and it's going to be very hard for them, even if they do not really know the scheme. So it's very important, especially now that everything is digital. There's mobile money, there are different ways of making money online, like for example swiping. I'm sure what swiping is all about. Basically, I can't really go in details, because a lot of you might try to do this and then you might get caught up. So basically, in West Africa, there's a lot of digital fraud, if you know what I mean. So try to avoid these types of problems. And the other thing that we need to also talk about is politically exposed persons. Now, this is a very important type of thing that we need to take a look at, because if we look at this, right, politically exposed people are usually the middlemen. So if you are trying to bribe, let's say for example, if you're trying to bribe the president, you can't go and give money to the president or send money into the president's account, because that is going to be very easy, and they're going to easily nab the president. So what people usually do is, in order for them to bribe the top people at the boss, right, they use people who are exposed to these politicians. So usually these are targets. So if you take a look at Faithful Malonda, right, she was obviously exposed to high net worth, or rather very important type of people, and it is easy to sort of use her as a channel. So let's talk about bribery. So bribery can occur in money laundering when it comes to politically exposed persons, also known as PEPs. PEPs are a big threat when it comes to money laundering because of their status in society. The status makes them a higher risk customer for companies to work with because they have more chances to gain assets through illegal methods compared to regular public citizens. As soon as corrupt PEPs accept bribes, money laundering can take place as well. So when you look at Faithful Malonda's situation, right? It's either she is a PEP, a politically exposed type of person, and then she is sort of having something to do with this amount of money, which could have been allegedly part of some illegalities of some sort. So the most important thing that she needs to do is she needs to explain and give a very good explanation of how she received and got that money, because this is going to be the hardest part. Like, easily making money, that's why I keep on saying having money is very easy, but keeping it is the hardest, and getting to account for it. Let's say, for example, you do some shady stuff and you get given, or rather you are given a lot of money, right? And you don't really have any cash transaction record. When the cops come, they are easily going to be able to like nab you, and you are easily going to lose that particular amount of money because you can't really account for how you got it, whether you inherited that money or you were given in a certain way. So it's very important for us to be extremely careful. So let's say, for example, Faithful Malonda can really get to talk about the cash transaction records. She's able to facilitate how she got it, right? There is going to be a paper trail, there's going to be a trail. People who are involved in that line of transaction are also going to be implicated as well. So this particular case is not only going to be about Faithful Malonda, it's going to be about everybody concerned, and the whole supply chain as far as the money is concerned, from point A to point B, which is Faithful Malonda as well. So a lot of people are obviously going to be implicated, and it has obviously opened Pandora's box. So it's going to be a very important case to look at, and we'll see what's going to come out of this, because whatever the situation is about, there are some offenses that she can get. She can't really, it's hard for her to go scot-free, because whatever happens, there is going to be a case which is going to be attached to that amount of money, because there are many offenses which she can be sort of given. Because let's say, for example, if she's able to like say how she got it, they're going to catch her on tax evasion. Because if you have money, if you earn money, especially legitimately, right, if you run a business, you have to pay tax, and tax evasion is really a big deal. I don't really know how tax evasion laws are in Zambia, but in America it's a very strong case, because we've got people like Wesley Snipes who were evading tax and they ended up doing a lot of time. So all these crimes, all these financial crimes are, especially money laundering, it falls under organized crime. So when it comes to crime, right, there are different types of criminals. Abama Suti, Abama Tai, those people also do a whole lot of different crimes as well. So be very careful when it comes to cash transactions and just being able to like make money, because if you rush and you get implicated in such type of situations, you could really fall victim to something that you were even able to avoid. So it's very important to have financial education and know what to avoid. So I mean, at this particular moment, right? Let me just get to read your comments. So Karisto Mwango says, who's Faithful Malonda? Faithful Malonda is the nickname, because we can't really, mention names, because my lawyers advised me not to talk about actual people and actual names. So I'm using an alias, but story easy vika. Felicitas, okay. Gloria Muwele says, imagine if half of Zambians with such monies decided to keep it at home instead of the bank. what would happen to the cash in circulation. Be realistic, guys. Malichi Mutonda says, let her explain how she obtained the money, and from which financial institutions she withdrew it, or what mode of payment was used from the same transaction. So on that particular case, Malichi Mulonda, right? Maybe she might be able to say this was a cash transaction. Okay, she can easily say this was a cash transaction and I was paid so and so amount of money using cash. But the tricky part about explaining, such a huge, colossal amount of cash, right? You have to explain the cash transaction record, and usually any amount above 10,000 US dollars for most banks, especially internationally, you have to sort of submit all the relevant information, and usually different banks dive deep into what you're doing. So usually transactions which are worth more than 10,000 kwaches, if you do that electronically, right, you have to have a legitimate reason why you are able to have access to to such amount of money. So if she says this money was given to me legitimately and I was paid in cash, right, she still has to verify and say how she got it, where she got it, and then those people who were giving her that money, they are going to be investigated as well. So it's not really about Faithful Malonda here. It's about the whole circle, the whole process of her getting the money and having, or rather being in possession of that money, and who gave it to her, how they got it as well. So this is not only about her, it's about the trail of the money. So this is one of the reasons why money laundering is a very interesting topic that everybody has to know, especially if you are into business and you are an entrepreneur, and you should definitely be able to avoid such situations. So it's very important, especially when you are having a business. Always look forward to having wire transactions, so that you can easily be able to defend yourself and say, look, I got this and that amount of money. You are easily able to trail the money, because if you are very innocent, you can easily defend yourself and say, at this particular day and time, I got this amount of money because I sold this and that. And then the trouble is obviously going to go to the people who gave you the money, so you can easily defend your case. So always strive to have digital transactions, because digital transactions are going to save you a whole lot. So do not really get infatuated with having a lot of cash, especially when it comes to these type of situation. So be very careful, because such type of information, right, we are basically not taught. If you go to most government offices or institutions, right, this is like culture in Zambia, but if you are in such a habit, it's very easy for you to get caught up in such a mess, and you can be having some proceeds of crime in terms of the money that you receive. So it's very important to always know where you're getting the money from, how they got it, and why you are having such amount of money. So especially to the students out there, I'm a slay queens, you can also get in trouble as well. So when it comes to theft, right, let's say for example muntu na even shinga ku bank, then akupela cash, that is also a crime as well, if you can't really account for this particular transaction and how they got it as well. So when it comes to fraud, we've already talked about this. Okay, so mostly tax evasion, bribery, proceeds of crime, what else, politically exposed persons, and all that stuff. So this whole thing is a very complex type of situation, and I really think it's going to take a very long period of time, because it's not just about her. And by the way, there's also another phrase, money mules. I think I explained it when we were talking about the money laundering steps, right? So basically, a money mule is a person who is being used by people who are conducting or trying to do money laundering, right? And they are trying to erase certain trails. Let's say, for example, in an ink what I don't know, 5 billion US dollars, right? And I want to give my family members maybe, I don't know, maybe 500,000 US dollars so that they can put it in a bank or buy real estate. But this is my money, right? So basically, you get to use different people, and those people make it seem as if the money that they have is legitimate, but in fact that money belongs to you. So basically these are money mules, and sometimes people can be used as a money mule without them even noticing. So to my papa what faithful Malonda, she was a money mule. She was being used by people to sort of try to conceal their deals, and she ended up being found with that huge amount of money as well. So be very careful. Don't just get excited and say yeah and all that stuff, because if you are involved in such things, you can easily end up being implicated because of the poker act, which is the proceeds of crime act as well. So to my point to the above, they are very important as you go on your entrepreneurial journey. Just know how to avoid these things. So financial education is very important, and knowing what to avoid and how to avoid it is really going to keep you from having a lot of stress, because getting money is pretty easy, but keeping it and saying, or rather showing the proof that you got it legally, is the hardest part. So this is one of the reasons why people spend a lot of years trying to cleanse their money. Okay, and just like I told you, right, it is important to have this information, because as an entrepreneur, right, you're supposed to understand how money works, how to attract money, and how to keep it, and how to avoid the illegal aspects of being associated with money. It's more like driving, right? Everybody dreams of having a fancy car and just having like a very good luxurious car, but at the same time, that luxurious car that you are buying could be your coffin, because you could basically end up dying in that expensive car that you bought, provided you do not really understand the rules of road safety. Let's say, for example, you are fond of drunk driving, and you just you've got this expensive car, and you're always drinking and all that stuff. That expensive car could be your coffin. So it's very important to always understand the rules of something, and how to avoid being found on the negative side of whatever aspect that you are dealing with. So when it comes to driving, make sure you understand the road rules. Make sure you understand how to minimize the blind spot, and just basically how to be a safe and better driver, because if you abuse road rules and all that stuff, you're easily going to end up in a very compromising situation. It's the same with money, with entrepreneurship, especially if you are an aggressive networker. You have to understand the rules associated with money, the good side and the bad side. So when it comes to financial literacy and money laundering and all that stuff, you need to be able to like say iffy, let me avoid it. If I'm doing a business, let me have records, let me pay my taxes, because tax evasion is a huge crime. Let me be able to do what I have to do in order for me to do the right thing. So it's all part of financial literacy. And most of the times, right, we're mostly taught you need to make money, you need to make money, you need to make money, you need to get this, you need to get that, and stuff. But if you really get caught up in doing it at a very fast rate, using dubious means, you are easily going to lose everything, because you sort of misjudged or took wrong steps, if I can put it that way. So it's very important to understand what you are getting in, especially if you are very ambitious, if you are an entrepreneur as well. So politically exposed persons, these are the people who do the basic daily job, and they get to conduct different things. So according to my opinion, right, these things, cash transaction records, very important. And if she is a politically exposed person, right, whoever is implicated in this particular cycle is obviously going to get exposed, because during the cash transaction record process, right, everybody in the circle, in the chain, is going to be implicated as well, because and I got it from ABC, and if that person who gave you that money is implicated in certain dubious things, then you also get affected as well. So tax evasion is definitely going to be part of it. So regardless of the situation, due to the fact that she has that amount of money, I'm sure there's going to be some type of crime that she's going to be attached to, so we'll see how it's going to go. Remember what I said, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Financial education is very important in order for you to avoid these things. So if you've got university students, you've got young people around you, explain to them the type of problems that they can encounter, especially when it comes to especially fraud, online fraud, credit card fraud, mobile money fraud, because it's very rampant right now. And right now, young people are they're living the fast lane type of life, because with technology you can easily get away with a whole lot of different things. And sometimes we need to educate the young people to avoid these things, because they might be getting into something that they are not even aware of. And the other thing that I can talk about is right now there are services that provide delivery, so most of the times, right, young people are fortunate enough to work as a delivery boy, a delivery girl. But sometimes let's say for example drug dealers use these types of services where they can hire somebody to like deliver a certain good. So let's say for example you don't really know that you are delivering good, because usually when you're delivering goods, they are concealed. You don't really know exactly what's in there. So most of the times, young people find themselves in compromising situations whereby they are innocently working as a delivery boy, but what they are delivering to from one point to another is maybe a drug. So that those types of situations, even if you are innocent, if you are found with a delivery package, even though you're not even concerned about those transactions, you can easily be implicated and be jailed for that type of situation. So explain to people who are in university, I'm a sisters, I'm a slave queens, and just let them know that bombo we vidima, especially when it comes to money, because money laundering is very complex. It is very complex. So that's all I had for you today. We're going to be looking forward to learning more about the case. And just like I told you, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I'm not here to say such and such is guilty. I'm just having this financial lecture with you guys, because it is part of financial education, and it is important for everybody who deals with money. People who are going into entrepreneurship, if you run a business, you should be able to understand these different types of crime as well. Okay, so John says most of the people who want the money, malo for after finding out the Bali will not give them jobs and all these things were being promoted. Even Nangubapoke Allah, you will never get anything from it. So this is true. Let her tell us the truth. Yama, share that presentation. Otherwise, Laka. Obviously, such huge amounts of money have also made a shortage in the currency circulation. Okay, yeah. So basically, you know what's going on. So as it stands, the case is ongoing, and the lawyers said they need more time, and the named journalist needs privacy as well. So let's be very respectful and give them the privacy that they need. But this was just an educative part of the situation, because when such things happen, we need to educate the masses, especially about financial literacy, because such things are very, very important to know. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your comments and contributions, and share this video everywhere, and let the people know the offenses that are you know, related to money laundering and what you need to avoid. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing more info from you in the comment section below. Muzuilo Chwani and Mutozi Chwani and Kimanzivwani, depending on where you are watching me from. So I've been your presenter, Mnalula. This is Z Corner. We are the leading voice for the Zambian youths. And basically here we talk about financial education, we talk about technology, and we also talk about governance related topics as a way to sort of, you know, add value to the community, because a lot of information is hidden from the general public. And most of the times, we usually get to discover these things by ourselves. So we need to have a society that is exposed to a whole lot of different exciting and educative material. So this is one of the reasons why I always give a round of applause to people like Dr. Mjajati, because Dr. Mjajati has made you know, health related topics very interesting. He's deciphering you know, health and diseases in a very digestible, educative manner. So I am very happy that we've got people like Dr. Mjajati. We also have people like you know, Council Elias Munsha, who are able to decipher the laws, the law, and just basically get to explain different things. So it's very important for our society to have infotainment. As much as you get entertained, you also have to have lucrative information as well. So at Z Corner, we are going to do our best to talk about, you know, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, business, technology, and governance related issues, because our population needs you know, to get exposed to a lot of different informative material. So just like I told you, right, when it comes to fast money, do not be like Hush Puppy. Do not be like a lot of West Africans. And of course, not all the West African people are like this, you know, but I'm a Yahoo boys. You know what Yahoo boys do, right? They like the fast cash and all that stuff. They do identity fraud like crazy, you know. So avoid involving yourselves in identity fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement, credit card fraud, mobile money fraud. You know, just work legitimately, understand how money works, understand how to attract money, and also understand how to keep money. But whatever you do, please do it the legitimate way, because ababangirira tabafika. So that's all I had for you. Have a great day. Be blessed. Today is a Tuesday, and you know, keep on hustling. So talk to you a little bit later. Bye.